Hey guys, so Jimmy Kimmel came out the other day and he did like this 15-minute monologue about his kid. And his kid, was born with a disorder and, almost died, right? And went through a lot of stuff. And my heart goes out to Jimmy Kimmel for that and to his kid. And those were real emotions that he was feeling at that time. But where it all kind of went downhill was right at the very end, where he's just shilling Obamacare. Now, I don't think he has any nefarious, intentions, right? He just legitimately believes that Obamacare and these things are better and his son would be, actually I don't believe that he thinks his son, wouldn't have care because he's one of the richest people probably in America, or not in America, but he's very rich. He could easily afford the best, very best care, and it has nothing to do with Obamacare. Now, I understand him saying that other people wouldn't have, the pre-existing coverage, but that isn't necessarily just predicated upon Obamacare. You can have these things without Obamacare, right? You can keep that and still make a new system. And this is the false dichotomy that a lot of leftists always put out there. They're always like, oh, you're against welfare? What do you hate poor people? You're against public education? What do you hate teaching people? You hate learning? It's like, no. We just think there's better ways to do certain things. Now, using a socialized system that is inefficient and very costly, we don't always think is the best way. And people look at America and they use that example as a privatized system, but a lot a lot of it is not privatized. The majority, it's not a privatized system. There's very small aspects of a private system, and the majority of people are covered through insurance through their work, and there's not really much competition going on. And also, there's a lot of regulations from the government that does not allow uh, them to try different things and to compete and to actually, you know, operate like other businesses on the free market. So they can't really use this as a example of a system of a free market system and be like, because Americans do pay a lot for healthcare and more than other people, than our system, than the Canadian system. But that's just the way they set it up. And, it has nothing to do with necessarily capitalism and all these things. But, this whole Jimmy Kimmel shilling his newborn baby for this stuff, I thought that was pretty horrible of him to do. Like, I think he thinks the ends justify the means in the sense that he's like, well, this program is good and it is going to help a lot of people, but there's a lot of unforeseen costs to things, and yes, it appears that a lot of people are now going to be covered, but a lot of people are paying for this that don't want to pay for it. And secondly, is that system actually sustainable? Because I'm pretty sure the rates for everybody were increasing in the healthcare was going up, the prices were going up, and it was continuing to go up. So it was just a matter of time before it collapsed, probably on its own. So it's unrealistic to want to keep the same system. And this whole guilting that liberals do when they start crying and trying to appeal to your emotion, they're like, that's one of the reasons why a lot of women vote for Democrats, right? Because it works on them, unfortunately, more or less, and a lot of men too. But a lot of the men, they don't care. They're just trying to white knight or trying to make pretend like they care, so then the women that do care like them, right? So it just left a really sour taste in my mouth from Jimmy Kimmel, and I never really hated Kimmel before. I disagree with all his politics, but I still kind of liked him. But after doing this, using your kid to shill politics for your side is low, and a lot of people are like, oh, look at him. They're praising him for it, and nobody's making this connection. And I was like, wow, like, you know, I feel bad for your kid, but don't use them to push your political agenda. I hope you honestly feel bad about that. I really hope you realize what you're doing. because you're playing on people's emotions to keep a system that is not good to continue. You're continuing a system through guilt. And that's, very insidious of you to do. And if you know you're doing it, if you know that you're using these tactics and you're not just, you genuinely believe these things, then you're way worse. You're much worse. I don't know what to say about you, and I don't know what I could do. But I really hope you stop trying to manipulate people's emotions. But at the same time, that's we can't expect people to stop doing what works. What needs to happen is people need to start thinking logically and stop basing their decisions upon emotions. And when you see people cry and about certain things, political and whatnot, when the people show you dead babies from Syria being gassed, and you got to realize that there's a lot of destruction going on in the world right now, a lot of bad things, a lot of ills, and they could show you all of these pictures of those things too to drive up support, but they don't. They show you specific things, and to push what they want. If they really cared about all these other things, or they're really consistent in their ideology, then they would act the same about everything else, but they don't. They're very selective with their outrage and what they care about. There's no consistency within them a lot of the times. And it's very obvious to see. I think a lot of people can see through this, and even people on the left could see, like, well, you're kind of exploiting your kid here, your situation, which is, I still feel for him, because yes, those were real tears and those were real emotions he was feeling. But I'm just never for something like that. But if you like my content, subscribe and have a great day.